Hi, welcome to a2zknowledge.com. So today we are going to discuss about Apache Flink. Apache Flink is one of the big data, it comes under one of the big data framework. And Apache Flink is initially, it's developed by Apache Software Foundation. And it's released in 2011. The first release has been entered into picture in 2011. So it was not quite familiar by the time, and it was not used much. In the last 2 years, people started using Apache Flink, so we just need to know what is Apache Flink. So this session is completely an introduction session for you about Apache Flink. And what is Apache Flink especially? So if you take any data processing, means any data frameworks, right? We have so many data frameworks like categorizations, like you have storage frameworks, you have testing frameworks, you have data transfer frameworks, pipeline, that is data pipeline frameworks, data processing frameworks, and in that way, in which category this Apache Flink will come. So Apache Flink comes under data processing framework. And data processing is not just in a single thread or something like that. It is distributed data processing. That's very important. So any technology with respect to big data, it's completely in distributed parallel data processing frameworks. That is MPP, right? Massive parallel processing. So Flink is comes under massive parallel processing framework. So data processing is all about, like, I want to process my data. For example, you have a job. So I have an input file. The input file has some 200 words, and this is something is get distributed across the nodes. So if you want to do a distributed processing, the prerequisite is your data has to be get distributed first. That means before doing any distributed parallel processing, you need to have a storage in which the data has to be get distributed. So first you distribute the data. As I told you, there is an input data with me which has 200 words, and that file has been distributed as small chunks across the nodes in my cluster. Now the data is distributed. Now on top of the data, you have to write some job, and that job has to run in parallel in the different machine because your files are in a different machine now. As you see, the input file is one single file, but that has been distributed now as a small chunk. Now, you have decided to go with Flink. In Flink, you are writing a job to fetch some of the favorite words from the input file. Now, this is a job, this is a use case, imagine. Now, this job will be running on top of all the nodes which has the file, and then it will give you the data. Right, so it's like one person is doing the job in a single sequence, then it will take a lot of time, right? Instead, you can split the files to multiple person, and you can ask all those persons to do their job in parallel. Will take less time. So that is power of parallel processing, right? So most of you are aware of it, but people who is new to this thing, right, I'm explaining for them actually. So Apache Flink comes under distributed parallel processing framework. And if you take data processing, you have two types: batch processing and stream processing. Now the question is, Flink comes under batch or stream? So Flink comes under both. Flink can do both batch and stream processing. And now what is the alternate of Flink? So that will be easy for you to understand, right? So Hadoop, Spark, Storm are some of the alternate frameworks in big data for Flink. And these frameworks are quite familiar than Flink, but Flink is getting ready by now. It's entering into picture in the industry. So Hadoop will do only batch processing. Spark will do both batch and stream processing. Storm is only stream. And now Flink will do both batch and stream processing. And Flink, Apache Flink is developed in Java and Scala are the two programming languages they have used to develop this Apache Flink. And for Apache Flink, as I told you, there is no specific storage for Apache Flink. There is no SQL database attached to it, and there is no data pipeline tools attached to it. Like if you take Hadoop, you have HDFS, Flume, Scoop, Oozie, HBase, and similar to it, right? So we don't have such a big framework diagram for Apache Flink. So Apache Flink doesn't have its own file system or a NoSQL database, but still integration is possible. You can integrate with any file systems in big data or any distributed file systems like S3, etc. And Apache Flink can be integrated with Kafka to transfer the data. Means Kafka is gonna give you the data from the source to your Flink, right? So you need to use such MQs, right? Kafka, Flume, and you can still use Scribe, etc. And NoSQL databases, yeah, you can use any NoSQL databases with Apache Flink like Cassandra, HBase, or MongoDB. Apache Flink supports it. And this is, as I told you already, this is quite an introduction video, right? So we don't want, means we are not going to dig more into this. And the one last point is Apache Flink also supports in-memory. That's very important. In-memory data processing. And then Apache Flink can be deployed, if you see deployment mode, so the cluster deployment. So you can deploy Apache Flink as standalone. When I say standalone, you don't want to have any other technology to be installed before installing Flink. Just Flink alone you can install as a multi-node cluster, and you can go ahead. And then or else you can install it on top of Hadoop or Yarn. Yeah, so both same. So you can deploy it on Yarn. Yarn is a cluster manager, right? So if you go for in real time, so if you see any real time project, so the Flink or Storm or Spark will be get installed on top of Hadoop only. Okay, because it has its own cluster manager. And standalone is still fine. So Yarn and then Mesos. So Mesos is again a cluster manager like Yarn. You can still go ahead and install it on top of it, and then Kubernetes again you can use it. So these are some of the deployment mode for Apache Flink. You can still go ahead, but standalone is still fine just for kickstarting and just for learning purpose. You can start with standalones. When I say standalone, it's not single node. That's very important. Standalone means just installing only Apache Flink in multi-node or single node. Both are called standalone. That's it. So any without having dependency with any other technology, you install Apache Flink as a standalone multi-node or a single node is called a standalone cluster. Or you can go with Yarn, Mesos, or Kubernetes. And thanks for watching a2zknowledge.com. If you really like this video, please subscribe my channel and forward this to your friends and colleagues. We do a lot of tech videos in English and Tamil, two languages. And I have given my LinkedIn and Instagram URL in the description box. If you want to contact me, you can contact, or you can follow me there for updates and etc. Thanks for watching.